He had a tough time versus Supernova in the last Afreeca World, but we're going to see how it will do in this one, spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map. It is Revival, the Zerg player. And his opponent, spawning down the bottom left-hand side of the map, playing for Team Expert, it is MMA. So we'll have to see how this Terran versus Zerg is going to work out. I think it'll be different than Supernova versus Revival. MMA can always mech, but maybe he'll bring out Bio. I mean, it's just hard to call. I wouldn't be surprised if we see either style. But I think the play style will be a little bit different in this one. Thank you guys for all tuning on into the Afreeca World, though. It should be a good match here. It's a best of 5. It's a Terran versus Zerg. I'm looking to see who will come out on top here and who will challenge Parting. I mean, Parting is going to be a tough guy to beat with how quickly he's been improving his form, but one of these guys can always make a showing. As far as the builds here, looks like nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, we can talk about the starting build time and time again. Gas first, coming out of MMA, and then going into that barracks. Looks like it'll be a Reaper expand here. Revival just going into that extractor, so standard macro builds coming out of both these guys. There we go, Reaper out of MMA, so not going to be going for any of those cheeky Marines that a lot of players have been going for lately. Let's see what sort of playstyle Revival's going to go for. Really, I think it will be MMA who dictates the pace of the game because, I mean, the Zerg player sort of has to react to whether it's going to be mech or not. Zergs like to go for their own thing these days. Could always go for Hydras, but Revival, pardon me, being an older player, and MMA also being an older player, I would not be surprised if we just see a pretty standard Terran Bio versus Zerg, Lingbei, and Muta. Reaper is moving out on the map. We'll see what it's able to find. MMA actually scouting out here. Wonder what he's looking for. I guess just making sure there's no cheeky lings coming across the map from something like a 16 pool or anything like that. So actually playing it very safe as MMA, not wanting to be caught off guard here. And he is just going straight into a reactor, straight into a factory, no follow-up units or anything like that. So keeping the Reaper back at home, in my opinion, is a nice call. I mean, you can maybe get a drone if you're incredibly lucky or if your opponent slips up or shave off a ling or two, but you're not likely going to see any super early aggression or anything like that. So, Hellions on the way for MMA. I mean, those are pretty common in the meta at the moment. So, Terrans, if they're going mech, they'll make more than 6. If they're not, and if they're going Bio, they'll maybe make 6 and then throw up a 3rd CC or something like that. We'll see if MMA is looking to put on the pressure here, or looking just to maybe have the map control. Viking out of the way for on the way for MMA. We'll see how many Overlords it's able to find. Revival already turning his other one home, so wary of losing them. Roach Warren on the way for Revival too, so he's either playing it safe or planning aggression. I'd say he's more likely playing it safe here. As a Revival, he got his Ling speed out, but not too many Lings on the map here. MMA just poking for now. So this Viking is out, looking for an Overlord here. We'll find the first one there. And then MMA swapping this over. So we'll see what he's going to go for. It could always be a Raven, but most likely going to be a Cloaked Banshee here. Maybe just making sure that the Overlord is dead before he starts anything. And it will be... He's keeping us in suspense here. What's he going to be going for? For now, though, it looks like he is busy with a Hellion run by. Actually shaving off a lot of drones here. 4 drones going down so far. Maybe could find another 1 or 2 so far. Revival keeping them alive. However, injects that Queen, so it's not working away on these injured Hellions right away. Maybe going to lose a drone or 2 as a result. MMA, though, not focus firing. Actually, maybe could have gotten 1 or 2 more there. But 5 drones going down. More Hellions are actually charging on in here. So far, we're up to 8 drones going down for Revival. So Revival already in a tough spot. That's sort of catastrophic worker loss here. And I think he is going to be looking to put the pressure on MMA, who's starting a 3rd command center and starting a Banshee. So Revival looks like he will be going all in here. He's losing an Overlord. He's taking a lot of losses right now in this game so far. So 9 drones have fallen to 4 Hellions. I mean, Zerg players can maybe lose 4 or 5 drones at the max and still be somewhat confident in their situation, but For now, it's going to be looking a little bit rough. MMA starting Cyclones back at home. He's getting up a third command center, and with this Banshee coming out, he will be able to start working on these roaches here. This wall is going to be tough to crack here. Banshee working away on these roaches already. Lings coming forward, but the Hellions behind the wall will absolutely roast the Lings. The roaches are going to have to follow the wall, but I don't think they're going to be able to. MMA already pulling workers. The Cyclones coming out. I think Revival's in a very tough spot. He's starting a lair. He's going back at home. He's going back into droning right now, but looking at the fact that MMA is getting up a third command center already and Revival's down on workers, it is going to look a little rough for him. He's just going to have to play this game out after falling behind. We'll have to see what he's able to get done here. 3 spores on the way, 1 for each base. Got to be safe from any future Banshees. MMA has been continuously producing these mech units. It's possible he could just be going for something like a Hellbat timing. He does have an armory, so he can always make Hellbats, and there's not many roaches on the map. I mean, he's making 2 more. He's making 4 more at this point, so he may be able to shut this down. Revival is going to need a perfect hold in which he's going to have to make the bare minimum he can and hold. And but then it's a very tough call for him. We'll have to see if he's able to hang on. He's got the 3 queens here. He's pulling in the Lings versus the Hellbats right now. However, those Lings just pretty much instantly disappear. They trade with a Hellbat or 2. Some of the roaches are coming forward. No critical damage has been done yet. He's losing a lot of army units, but with the second Banshee coming in right now, it's looking pretty tough for him. Revival almost just has no army. GG gets called. MMA takes the first game in a strong fashion. Maybe is looking to the second Terran versus Zerg of the day. Well, second Terran versus Zerg match of the day. So, spawning down in the bottom right-hand side of the map, it is Revival. Gonna have to bring it back. And his opponent on Team Expert, aka formerly Team Acer. MMA's been with that team for quite a while. But, it is MMA. I already said his name, so I botched that introduction. But you guys know who's playing. We've only got 4 players in this tournament. I don't think we're going to get them too mixed up here. Well, I guess now we've got 3 players, with Supernova being eliminated by parting. We'll have to see who's going to move on to face him in the finals, and that's what we're deciding right now. MMA going for the same opening here from the looks of it. That build certainly worked out for him, just going for something as simple as a Hellion run by. Revival wasn't quite prepared. So Revival, not going for any crazy cheese or anything like that. And I mean, that was a good call in the last game, as MMA did keep his Reaper back. So something like a 16 pool wouldn't have worked out necessarily. So MMA playing it safe. Revival sticking to the same old, same old. So the map is Catalyst, so it's a bit more comfortable for Zerg players. It's a bit more open and uncomfortable for Terran players. So we'll just have to see how this game is going to go. I mean, Revival, he did get that quickling speed, then threw up the Roach Warren, but really he was sort of forced into that. He threw up the Roach Warren before, so it's kind of tough to know whether he was aware of how... It's tough to know whether he was aware of or planning to go for any sort of aggression there. It's impossible to know, really, unless we asked him, were you planning to go for the Roach aggression before you took the economy damage? He sort of went for something similar versus Supernova, if I recall correctly, so maybe that's a build that he likes to go and try and break Terrans at that odd timing. So far, though, the counter damage has sort of stopped him. We'll see what MMA's going for this game. MMA moving out with his Reaper this time, but once again, keeping it relatively close to home. Not going to dive across the maps just yet. Although he's moving out a bit more than in the last game. So playing it a little bit riskier here. Moving out with that Reaper. Maybe going to poke and prod Revival a little bit. Put on the pressure, but with that slight delay, the Queen will be popping out. The Lings will be able to delay it for now. MMA, though, is getting in with this Reaper. We'll be able to poke around. Sees the Ling speed on the way. Sees the drones there. Reaper is going to get pushed back, but not finding too much done there. MMA, Starport on the way, Hellions on the way. We'll see if the Hellions are able to get that critical damage done once again here. But so far, things looking alright for both players. Revival working on those rocks there. I mean, what else are your 3 Zerg? Wait, why is there only 3? Did he lose one? Apparently MMA got 1 Zergling there with that Reaper. Well done by him. That's a odd number. Zerglings don't hatch in 3s. Reaper maybe looking to poke in. Could always go up around these back rocks and have a scout out. Viking on the way here. So MMA going for a very similar build this game. Getting out the Viking, gonna kill off the Overlord, then maybe swap over the Starport. His Banshees didn't get too much damage done there. They were sort of just there to deny the Roach attack, and that they did wonders with that. Now here we have the Hellions are coming, and Revival has a handful of Lings here. They're gonna try and get the wrapper on. The Queens are there. However, most of the Lings are falling right now. Another Queen does pop out. However, drones are gonna start falling right now. So far we're up to 2. Make that 4, and I mean, get any more than this is really going past acceptable losses. We're currently up to 8, so Revival just having a tough time with these Hellions, losing an unacceptable amount of Hellions once again to this early pressure right now. 8 drones going down so far. I mean, I believe he was down to 29 by the end of the last one, so maybe this hit a little bit later, but MMA getting fantastic damage done there. He's now making a Liberator behind this, continuously producing those Hellions and starting a command center because he's so confident in this game. So Revival going to be in a tough spot. I mean, I don't think he really has a choice but to macro out from this. He's already got up a 3rd base. He's producing a Roach Warren now, and I mean, getting up a Lair, getting up an Evo, so maybe he is going to try and play this safety Roach style. I mean, he can't really afford to take any more damage whatsoever. He's just going to have to be greedy and try and hold on with what little units he can afford at this point, as if he wants to try and match the economy. Hellions coming on creep once again, looking to poke in. There's a handful of Lings. There's no Roaches on the way. There's this wall here to try and deny them from getting on in there. However, the Lings are being roasted already. Their number are falling. MMA just kiting back, picking them off. We're seeing some drones go down. Revival just falling to this harassment here. This is just some grade A harassment from MMA. These Hellions are getting in once again. Drones are just being absolutely slaughtered right now. He's pulling them back. 15 drones going down there. 18 drones. Revival's just crumbling to the pressure right now. MMA just running away with the game once again, just falling to some heavy pressure. He's gonna even pick off a few more because he can. He's got the Hellions alive still. 24 down in total. 32 drones have gone down in this game so far. The Liberator helping out, but the Hellions being the real MVP. Revival just underestimating it, not making enough units. He's producing drones once again, but MMA's going mech behind this. He's producing siege tanks. I mean, normally a Zerg's economy would just be booming at this point. They'd be deciding the options to do versus a mech Terran, but for now, Revival's either just going to have to go into an insane amount of drones or pull off some miracle attack, but either way, MMA left to his own devices at this point is going to be quite scary, and Revival's going to have to deal with him somehow here. He's keeping up to his creep spread, it looks like, so that's always something Zerg players can do. Always, I mean, your creep can't really fall that far behind because you lost some drones, so Revival is going to be trying to spread that. Hellions are coming in, though, once again. We'll see if they clear up these creep tumors or just go on in and kill more drones. There's only a handful of Lings to deal with. The 7 Lings and a Queen are here. He's making some panic roaches from the seam of things, but these Hellions are coming on in. They're going to be able to start picking off these units. They're trading with the Lings now. A Roach or two is coming out, however, that's exactly what it is, just a Roach or two for now. More drones are going down, and Revival is just taking even more and more damage. They're running, but they're stacking up in the process here. 9 have fallen in this batch of attacks. Make that 11, and some of the Hellions are even going to get out there. Revival is just going to fall more and more behind from this point out. I don't think all the creep spread in the world is going to save him here. MMA looking to go for a bit of a Hellbat drop right now, so continuing on the pressure. And MMA, all he's really done this game is make Hellbats. He's producing siege tanks back at home, but it's not like Revival is going to be able to put out a very scary army here. He's catching back up in drones once again, but MMA is really going to be reaching this scary Terran stage. Revival maybe throwing up a 4th base, so he's taking some harassment damage. He's trying to get back in it economically wise. I mean, yes, the first attack you don't want to lose drones to, but he did, and he's coming back. But then there's this additional harassment, like the harassment that's going on right now by these Blue Flame Hellbats, is just dealing further and further damage to Revival. Those drones are going to be in trouble here. These Roaches are coming in to intercept. We'll see what these Hellbats are able to get done. They do just fly right by the natural. Maybe looking to get some damage done at the 3rd base there. But so far, picking off more workers and looking at the supply, MMA is almost ahead. Well, he's ahead by 40. And that number may just continue to grow and grow. MMA getting up a 4th base. He's got up a scary siege tank count, and he's doubling the army supply. There's 8 siege tanks versus 11 roaches. I mean, I remember Revival trying to make those Hydras, but he just made 1. So things aren't looking too good for Revival in this game. Hellions coming on in once again. They're going to poke in at this natural. Roaches will be able to intercept this time. However, even if they pick off a drone or 2, it may just be worth it for MMA. So far, 3 drones falling down. 8. These Blue Flame Hellions just even more lethal to Revival. Make that 9 drones going down there. He's just been trying to build back up, but MMA is knocking him down every step in the game. 58 drones have gone down this game. That is quite absurd there. We're seeing another Hellbat drop coming in. More and more drones going down. MMA going to be able to get out there with this harassment. I mean, MMA, I'm sure, is having the time of his life right now, just picking apart Revival in this game. Hive is on the way for Revival, but I'm not sure he's going to have too much to save him. Their drones rallied out into Hellions once again. We have some roaches are going to clean this up, so Revival, he's hanging on. I mean, the supply, it's within acceptable margins, I guess, but he's lost 22 drones again due to this other round of harassment, and he's just been making drones non-stop. He's affording a ton of Vipers somehow. He's managed to afford these. So 4 Vipers, maybe with some absolute perfect blinding clouds, the roaches will be able to get on top of the army of MMA. Is just incredibly overcautious, but the army of MMA is very scary right now. Upgrade-wise, MMA looking to have a good lead here. Well, I mean, not necessarily a lead, I suppose. He's going to be heading into 2-1, whereas Revival's going to be heading into 2-1, actually. So the players will be equal on upgrades, relatively. MMA, though, is looking to poke out right now. Do these Vipers have energy? They'll have enough for 1 blinding cloud each from the scheme of things. It's going to have to be a fantastic engagement here by Revival. We may see some abducts come out of him. I recall him using those before instead of the blinding clouds. MMA, good tank spread so far. Revival just being forced into an engagement. There's a good blinding cloud on some of the tanks, so he's trying to take a fight. Abducts a tank or 2. So far, this isn't going too poorly. However, eating a lot of tank shots now from the low ground there. Revival's army is just being shredded. Drones are falling simultaneously. I'm not even sure where that happened, but there we go. Liberator at the natural, sneaking in there. These overlords trying to hug it to death, but not going to happen. Revival losing drones there, and MMA can even just pull back if he wants at this point. He's just done so much damage already. Revival trying to make units to hang on. He's maybe going to have another round of blinding clouds, which will help him out. There's just so many siege tanks here, and look at this spread from MMA. Just engaging this as a third player is such a tough act. Hellions are coming in now to buffer for this. And Revival's going to poke forward, but the Hellions are just going to shred off the remainder of the Hydras. He pulls the 1 siege tank forward so he can shoot what little of his army is left. Revival producing a few roaches, but GG gets called. MMA takes game number 2. Alrighty, so currently taking a quick 2-0 lead. Now maybe looking to close it out by just pummeling his opponent once again. It is Experts MMA. And his opponent spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map, taking a bit of a beating in his Afreeca World tournament so far. We'll see if he's able to turn it around now. It is Revival. Revival needs a bit of a revival here if he wants to bring it back. MMA, once again, going for that gas first. Revival, looks like he is just going to be going for that hatchery first. I mean, props to him not for falling under the pressure and just trying something desperately that he's confident isn't going to work, but he feels like he has to do something. So he's maybe trying to keep it cool, but if he can keep it cool, make an adjustment, we may start to see a full-on actual game here. I mean, it's tough to gauge how well Revival was playing just because he had such a bad start, losing all those drones, and MMA killed probably like 70 drones by the end of that last game. So, same stuff coming out of both these guys. I mean, MMA has been getting the upper hand, clearly, because he's got that 2-0 lead so far. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. Reaper on the way for MMA here. We'll see if he keeps it back at home. That's really the only tweak in build orders we've seen from him. Yes, he didn't go for the Banshee. He went for the Liberators instead, and those got a fair bit of damage done that time. We'll have to see how this game is going to work out. Revival, it would be good to see him maybe make a few extra lings just at that normal Hellion window. Or just go for a wall off sooner. Something that will prevent him just from taking catastrophic damage. MMA, we'll see what he's looking to do in this game. So Revival just making that handful of lings. Gonna have to react to this Reaper, which is coming right across the map. MMA apparently quite confident. There's gonna be no cheeky ling shenanigans this game. Diving right on in there. Things are focusing on that rock there. So here comes in the Reaper, gonna start working away on one of these drones. Getting a drone would just be fantastic. It would just really set MMA up in this possible final match here. MMA not being too daring with that Reaper. I mean, that Queen popping out. Gonna have to regenerate health there. That third base is already on the way for Revival, like in that quick base there. Starport on the way for MMA, so are Hellions. Now the question is, this is the big question, will Revival just die to Hellion run-bys? I mean, it's a lot easier to hold the natural in this game, but we'll see if MMA will just be bold enough to charge in once again. If he's going to make a Viking once again. He's making a tech lab already in front of Revival. We'll see what he's going to use it for. Maybe just wait for this Viking to finish. Could always start Stim. Trying to mind game his opponent here. For now, though, these two Hellions maybe going to dive on in. MMA looking for something. Revival playing it a little bit safer there. I mean, he's got the Queens in position, and it's not like MMA's Hellions magically do damage. He's just done a good job finding windows. Will be a little tougher on this map, though. May have to wait for some further tech, or possibly a Cloaked Banshee, if that's what he's going to be going for. A few more lings are on the way for Revival, so he's going to have 12 in total. I mean, that's not a fantastic number. I think it's maybe 1 or 2 more batches more than he made last time. Revival does lose an Overlord here. Factory on the way, and it's actually a Medivac here. So is this going to be a fake out? It could always just be him going for a bit of a Hellbat poke with the Medivac support and then following it up with the Cloaked Banshee. I believe that's probably what it's looking to be here. So MMA not just diving in this time, just gonna try and deal one quick blow to his opponent right now. And if Revival is just making lings, thinking that he has to deal with Hellions, it could be a little bit rough. He's making a Roach Warren, however. May not be in time, though. These Hellions are poking in. MMA sort of actually getting his Hellions split up there. Viking finding another Overlord. Oh, he's actually going to do an Elevator here. So he's going to Elevator in possibly 4 Hellbats, while Hellions then turn them into Hellbats and then poke at the third base here. So MMA are going to be looking to do a 1-2 punch right now with these Hellbats. Hellbats in the main base, Hellbats in the natural here. They're sieging up, they're going for it. 13 drones on the way for Revival. As far as units go, he's got a good count of lings. However, he did not expect these Hellbats coming in. Now the lings are going to engage the Hellbats. The Medivac is here, can heal and support, even pulling back some of these units. And a lot of these lings are falling now. There's only 2 lings left. The Queens are going to be able to shut it down. However, these Hellbats are hitting the third base. One of the Queens immediately getting roasted there. Only 2 drones have fallen this game so far. The Viking even landing to try and get some more damage done, but the third base very well may fall here. 1 Queen is coming in. It will be able to transfuse, and the Roaches are on the way. So far, Revival hanging on right now. Transfuse going down, saving that one other Queen. I mean, he's doing a good job buying time so far. Another Transfuse going down, keeping this Queen alive. Roaches are now coming in, so Revival doing a good job holding on so far. MMA not finding critical damage like he did in the previous 2 games, and Revival made some tweaks. MMA maybe just changed it up a little bit, not finding too much down there. There's already a Spore in every base here. So this Banshee is going to be limited as to what it can get done. Revival confidently making some drones here. He's starting an Overseer, as he does have that lair already. And now we'll see what Revival's looking to go into. He's throwing up more gas geysers here, so it could always be a Spire to make some mutas here. But he is going to be facing mech once again. We've never really seen the full front of MMA's mech and how well he's able to make it, as he's just had such an advantage in these games. So far, 5 drones have fallen. Cyclones are on the cards for MMA. He's actually making a lot of Cyclones, so maybe he's going to be going for some sort of timing here, just with a lot of them. Well, he's got a lot of Hellions here, and with some Cyclone support, he could hit a very strong timing. Hydralisk Den is on the way, but Revival does need to be aware that there is going to be this potential strong attack incoming. As a Zerg player, one of the few things you want to do is, well, one of the things you don't want to do as a Zerg player is to make a worse unit like the Roach when you will be able to produce Hydras in just a second here. So Revival making a few Roaches here, but it would be good to see him churn out some Hydras here just to be safe. He's got a few Roaches and he's going to have a decent number. However, there's going to be 5 Cyclones, and with all these Hellbats to buffer for them, it could be a little rough. Revival, though, playing it pretty safe now, really changing it up, really surprising me. He hasn't had too much vision on this army, but he's making more Roaches, he's making more Hydras. And MMA, he's on a 3rd base, but it's not like he's done a fantastic job in the economy front, so Revival's actually ahead on supply in this game, even if it's by a small margin. That is nice for him. These Roaches are going to have to start maybe take an engagement through the base. Looks like it will be forfeit. 5 Hydralisks are on the way. Oh, the base actually gets killed there, not cancelled, so that's pretty huge. These Hellbats are going to try and tank for these Cyclones right now. MMA hitting a timing right now with an upgrade advantage. However, this is a significant amount of Roach Hydra here. Once the Hellbats are picked off, it will be a lot easier. Corrosive Vows connecting with 1 or 2 of the units. Revival pulling back here. The Hydra is putting out good damage. The Roach is tanking a good amount right now. MMA going to have to dodge that Corrosive Vow. There's still a good chunk of units on the ground for Revival. He's bled off a fair few units here. He may have to pull some drones, but he is having more units on the way. However, if MMA starts to snowball here, it will be very rough. One of the Cyclones goes down there. However, Revival losing a lot of units right now. He's producing more and more Roaches. He's trying to hang on. Queen doing the best it can. Hellbats roasting a few drones on 7. But so far, Revival hanging on, but just barely. It's very possible that MMA snowballs here, running in more Hellbats, transforming them. The more Roaches are producing. Revival just making absolutely everything he can. MMA actually going to kill off the Roach Warren there. But it seems that Revival may have managed to hold on. However, some of these Hellions getting massive damage done, it seems. Just at the natural, they're losing a lot of workers. Revival, though, he's managed to hold on. And that's really the best thing he could have hoped for in that situation. He started to rebuild the 4th base, but MMA back at home. More command centers on the way. He killed off 22 drones there, so that's really going to be a setback for Revival. I mean, it's not like MMA didn't get any damage done there. I mean, yes, Revival held on, and that's sort of an improvement since the last game. But really, Revival not in a fantastic spot, not in a terrible one, but it could be a little rough going forward. He's got a large chunk of Roaches, that's his army, whereas MMA is teching into a large chunk of siege tanks. He's continuing forward with his upgrades here. So I'm not sure what Revival's going to have to do in this series to come back. Vipers are on the way. He did get that Hive once again, so that will be a good comeback unit. I mean, he didn't get too much done there, but he was sort of forced to take a very quick engagement in that last one, and he had some good blinding clouds, so maybe with a bit more units here, with maybe 1 or 2 more Vipers, if he can manage it, he will be able to engage MMA's army. As MMA's army is not too scary. He's only got 7 siege tanks with some Hellion support, and yes, MMA's in a good situation here, but it's not as good as the previous game. I guess anything's an improvement, right? More Roaches on the way for Revival. I'm not too sure how I feel about that, unless he's going to be going for a strong timing. And with the siege tank count of MMA, I'm a little bit worried about how he's just making these. He's going to have to really rely on these Vipers if it does come down to a fight. 1 Roach rallied forward. Hellions are engaging on top of these drones right now. More and more are going down. This is just the story of the series. 6 drones falling there. The Hellions are going to get out mostly scot-free. MMA throwing up a lot of sensor towers. That's a good base count right now. He's even gotten up an extra CC or 2 and very well may throw more up in the future, but for now he's looking just to max out. He's going to be hitting this very scary army. The players are equal on workers and equal on supply. However, it is mainly Roach supply. 37 Roaches for Revival, and questioning how effective that's going to be in this game. MMA may be looking to move out right now. He's got all these Hellions. He's got all these siege tanks. He's got a large... Well, he's really got his bases covered with a planetary here. I don't think Revival's going to be able to engage up into these siege tanks. Revival just producing Hydras. I think 1 decisive good fight with these Vipers. Maybe what he needs in this game. And MMA could be pulled out of position here. I mean, his third base, pretty exposed, no siege tanks there, so Revival could maybe engage this. If he sneaks around, I mean, with all these sensor towers, it will be tough to sneak around, but forcing MMA to quickly reposition his army is where he could possibly get a good fight. MMA looking to secure a 5th base right now, so really being quite bold, but he is maxed out on supply. He does have superior upgrades by a significant margin, and I'm actually wondering how well those are going to play on in here. Looks like one of these players could be forced into a bad engagement right now. The Roaches are engaging, however, I just realized they don't actually have Roach speed right now. Hellbat's just getting on top of this. The Vipers just being shredded by these Vikings, and yes, they get off of a parasitic bomb there that's dealing a good chunk of damage, however. With those Vipers being forced back, there's not much to deal with these siege tanks here. 13 more Hydralisks are on the way, and without that Roach speed, or actually, pardon me, there was Roach speed there. But MMA just getting on top of that army, and now looking at this, he's just going to abuse this high ground position. One of Revival's critical bases is going to be under siege. Just drones absolutely exploding under all these siege tanks. More Vipers are on the way, so Revival still having hope that he's going to be able to take a good fight right now. A lot of his Vipers are very weak, though. MMA even throwing up missile turrets right now, just going full on mech. I mean, he's got the resources, he's producing units, he's producing more command centers. Even if MMA doesn't manage to kill Revival immediately, he's still in a fantastic position. He's already killed off one of the critical bases, and Revival's really backed into a corner right now. There's a good chunk of Roach Hydra, however, he's engaging down this ramp, and this is just so bold. The siege tanks, they're all sieging up right now, and Revival is just going to eat so many shots right now. And this is just looking pretty rough for him. Not a single Blinding Cloud went down there, and just he's bleeding off so much supply there. MMA certainly has a supply lead for the time being. Revival managed to have even supply for a time being, but it looks like MMA is going to be able to take a 3-0 in this series. So we're going to have 2 3-0s as the prestigious pros returning are really showing their faces now. MMA takes the 3-0, brings down Revival, and we have our 2 finalists. It's going to be MMA versus Parting coming up next. So we'll get the map order, we'll have a short break, and then we'll get on into the grand finals, so make sure to stick around, guys. Thanks to Revival and Supernova for coming out, but we have our 2 finalists, and I think it should be a good match here. I mean, these 2 guys have really been working to improve. But we shall have a short break. Thank you guys for tuning on in.